decide not to use it.
Zoom recording. All right, so we are talking about accessibility, how it benefits everybody, and we're going to be specifically talking about the top 4 things you can do to improve your Canvas class. There we go. So we had 2 main goals, Merv. First of all, learning what accessibility means for our students, and then learn like specifically what you could do to make your class accessible. And for the 4 objectives, reflecting on Title V, Merv, have you heard any information about Title V, specifically how it applies to accessibility?
I don't recall what Title V is, but I'm kind of familiar with the handbook.
Okay, good. So we can talk about that. So then we'll, since it's just us, we could actually look at some areas in your class if you want to change them to meet these top 4 things that we're going to be talking to you about. You could change an assignment, a discussion, a video, or a page, whatever you think might work. Or we could just help you make a game plan for the next 2 weeks or the next upcoming weeks.
So I get to talk about why is accessibility important. So Merv, what do you currently do in your class to make it accessible? What do you think?
So in my Canvas course, I try to find videos with closed captions, or when I make a video, I write the subtitles and do closed captions. And in my face-to-face class, I use visuals and I try to pay attention to these color contrasts. Like not using if I use dark color, I need to use the fonts like in white color, or just having this color contrast. Yeah, and I know that I think like the PDFs should be like actually not uploaded or published because it's not accessible. So I try to copy and paste the sentences or do from the picture, or let's say to Canvas, but I do have a few screenshots, to be honest, on my Canvas because it looks nice with that page, on that page. But these are the things I'm actually doing.
Good. Well, you're well on your way dealing with some of the really important parts of accessibility, which is great. So you're well on your way to be in compliance with the federal law. Section 508 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973 is kind of, everyone still talks about 508, and that's what they're talking about, is this federal law regarding electronic information, and it applies definitely to the schools and the education world. Then in California, there's more bills. Senate Bill 105 from September of 2002. Title II of the Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA, and then Title V is the most recent one. And so, as Lori said earlier, the accessible means a person with a disability is afforded the opportunity to acquire the same information, engage in the same interactions, and enjoy the same services as a person without a disability in an equally effective and equally integrated manner with substantially equivalent ease of use. So I think that sentence is really important and kind of at the core of what we do when we design our courses to be accessible. Is you look at, when you're creating a course, a navigation, a module, a page, you're looking at it through the lens of students in very different situations, right? Students who can see and hear well, whatever, or students who have color differences or impaired vision or hearing, so that's always our challenge. Next.
So one of the ways that we can do this is through the Universal Design for Learning. And have you heard of UDL, Merv?
Yes, but I don't have much knowledge. But I know.
That's fine. it honestly, the universal design for learning, I think the title is a little vague. But it's basically a research-based framework that really supports removing barriers from the learning process. And it's really so that we can meet the diverse or the needs of our diverse learners. So it's not necessarily specifically about accessibility in terms of you know, somebody who is hearing impaired or visually impaired. It's really about individuals as having unique needs in general. So it pairs really nicely with accessibility, because if we're already taking into account the diverse needs of our student population, then we also can address some of the legal requirements of accessibility. So for the universal design of learning, one of the things they found is multiple means of representation. So essentially this is like giving students the same information, like in 2 or 3 different ways. So have them watch a short video, and then maybe have them read something, then maybe have them do a discussion about it. So they're getting the same information, but it's coming in different modalities. So then this then allows that information is equally perceptible to all. Another example of UDL is the multiple means of action and expression. And this is basically where students can have a variety of ways to submit an assignment. So for example, in one of my classes, for some assignments, students can just submit like a short essay. They can do a drawing of the process. They can do a little video or an audio recording. So this gives them options for expressing what they know and provide, but then you have to make sure it provides models, feedback, and supports for their different levels of proficiency. And that's where rubrics come in really nice in Canvas. And then multiple means of engagement. So what excites one student may bore another. And this is basically giving students choices. So the example here is like independent work versus group work. And group work can be so complicated because some people are really good at it and some aren't. Also the sequence or timing of tasks, the level of the challenge. So if you can scaffold assignments, then you can, some students may not have to do, for lack of a better word, the like introductory or lower levels. They can skip right up to a moderate level and work up from there. This gives them autonomy and can help them be more engaged in the assignments. So really you could look as universal design is basically the door that we open to let all of our diverse learners in to the learning process.
Okay. So there's quite a lot to do actually to get courses fully aligned with accessibility requirements. But I think for the purpose of a 1-hour workshop like this, we decided to narrow it down to 4 things that are kind of all the low-hanging fruit, right? Just get comfortable doing these 4 things and you're well on your way. There's more, of course, later at the end of the presentation, we'll give information on how to dig deeper. So we're going to cover how to add corrected captions to your videos, and sounds like Merv, you're already on top of that. Alt text or alternative text for images is important. Then the change links to descriptive text. So descriptive links are important. And then heading hierarchy is another important part. And we'll explain why when we get there. Next. Ooh, Lori's next.
Yeah, so the first one, which I'm gonna speed through because Merv, you already get it. So the caption videos. So all videos must have human corrected captions. AI is good for a lot of things, but not for correcting captions in my biology classes, for example. So when there's a lot of really complex biological terms, AI can't do it. So it's got to be human corrected. And the why, so this benefits everybody when students are watching my biology classes and there's a word like gastrocnemius, AI actually puts it in as gas truck near us, which it's actually one word and it's the name of a muscle. So, everybody's going to be confused by that. So this really is going to benefit non-native speakers and multimodal learners. It's really helpful in noisy environments, easier to navigate a video. This is also referring back to the law, section 508, that 1976 law, somewhere around 73. Yeah. It requires over 99% accuracy of video captions. And I would argue that sometimes even that 1% is important, like my example with the muscle name. That could be the only thing that's wrong in the entire video. But if that's it, then, when my students are working with me in the lab and saying muscles, they're going to be like, what's the gas truck muscle? And that's just not going to make any sense. So then both Canvas and YouTube create auto-generated captions that are 80 to 85% accurate, which is awesome. But then they still need to be edited for punctuation, capitalization, and all that stuff. Merv, have you used the Canvas?
Geo?
Yeah.
Okay. No. So I'm using another when I make a video, like I actually didn't make many videos, like only like welcome message, and then I think I had one to show the, how to navigate Canvas. And so I use another video tool, and then I uploaded to YouTube, and then I wrote the captions by myself. That's what I did because I heard that Canvas Studio has some glitches while recording, I guess. So that's why I didn't use Canvas Studio, but I found another way to do it.
Okay, that's interesting. That's actually the first thing we suggest because it's a little easier, but I'm curious now about the glitching. And you said you're doing really short videos?
Yeah, it's just 5 minutes. I think it was like one of them was like 5 minutes, one of them was like 5-6 minutes. So I found it like easier. I don't know.
Okay. So Canvas Studio is for sure an option. We also have alternatives to adding Canvas to YouTube as well. I have found that Canvas Studio works for my biology classes. I do have to make edits for those crazy big words. But it's usually the longer videos where I experience more troubles with the captions than the shorter ones. So we might circle back to that at a later.
I'll try it.
Yeah, I would recommend trying it out. I've been using Studio heavily for a long time with short videos for ESOL, and it runs really smoothly. I had way more glitches in YouTube when I was just doing it all on YouTube.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
So number 2 then is alternative text or alt text. So all images must have short, concise alternative text so that a screen reader can describe it. And why? We just said that, so that the screen reader can assign importance to the image, as well as if there's any function. And this is also displayed in place of the image in browsers if the image file can't be loaded. So then students already know that there's supposed to be an image there, but they then know what it is also. So they may not necessarily need to see it. So the how, keep it concise yet informative so it convey the full experience of the image. Don't include image of or picture of in the alt text. The screen reader will tell the person that it's an image, so you don't have to say it again. The exception is if it's germane to the learner's experience to know, for example, that the image is a photo collage or an engraved illustration. I sometimes use it when I'm talking about microscopic images to make sure that it's clear that it's not, or to make it's clear what the reference is. But it's not necessary for purely decorative images, which can just be marked as decorative. So if you're just trying to make your pages look pretty, you can just make them decorative. Also, you can remove the file type, whether it's a JPEG or whatever, from the alt text. And it shouldn't be more than 20 words, much less is better. If you have complicated images like I do, the suggestion is that you, in the alt text, you link to another Canvas page and then you do the full description in that Canvas page. So for example, this emblem for Laney College, the alt text here is a circle with Laney College commitment to excellence, in quotes, written around the outside. In the middle is the Laney College logo in green and white. Which we could argue isn't very descriptive, because what the heck is the Laney College logo? But it tells them that it's a logo.
Cool. Okay, so the next topic, item number 3, is descriptive links. And back many moons ago, when I was working in the world of creating websites for companies, descriptive links were already a thing because it's just good user interface design. The words by linking words, it helps those words pop a little more on the page, and they can, so it's good for that. It's also really important because of any students using screen readers coming through a page. If you've got the full URL listed, the screen reader is going to read https:// and just read every single. Yeah, so we don't want that. What we want is the screen reader to come through and come across the words that are linked. And so it's very clear where the student will end up if they click on that. So here in the example, a readable link is screen reader demo. So I know if I click that, I'm going to end up getting a demo of a screen reader, which seems pretty interesting to me. Another thing that was super common a while ago that we want to avoid now as much as possible is these words "click here" as the link, because that's not what's important on the page. What's important on the page, for example, here is, hey, there's a screen reader demo to see. And that's what I want to see linked and popping out of the page because of the color and the underline. So avoid those words. And so making it as meaningful as possible is great, so they know where they're going. Any questions there, Merv? How are you with links?
I'm good. I mean, I actually, one thing maybe, I know that we need to avoid saying, click here or here, click link, or, but I feel like sometimes my students, like they are basic English, they're taking basic English class. And I feel like I need to write, I don't know, but I feel like I need to write like click here or, link, so that they know they need to click there. That's one of my concerns, but I know that this is the right way to do it. Even if I know I have this concern, I don't know why. And now we were talking about this, I'll go back and change a few words that I said, like link, whatever. Link.
Yeah, so I agree. With the challenge that you're talking about, I've worked with a lot of students in ESOL that have low language and sort of low technology skills. So it's like you want to guide them as much as possible and not just assume that they know that they need to click on that. So sometimes I'll add in words to say something like, so if I'm talking about a screen reader demo, I'll say something like, in order to learn to get a first-hand view of what it's like, check out this screen reader demo, and then it's linked. So it's like you've got some verbs prompting them to what to do, right, on that next thing. So cool. Okay, next.
Thank you.
We've got headings. So now headings is something that I didn't learn about until my beginnings in teaching in Canvas online. So in order for a screen reader to navigate a page, a student using a screen reader to navigate a page, the headings need to be nested in a hierarchical structure. Why is that? because it communicates the organization of the page and it's good user interface design, giving screen readers and other assistive technology the ability to scan a page for structure. So people using screen readers learn how to jump a page, right? We cited people can skim the headings or subheadings and decide where do we really want to go on this page. But for those using assistive technology, they rely on these headings and subheadings and in a nested structure to bounce around quickly and efficiently. So how does that happen? Yes. Okay. So the page title, when you create a page, you give it a title, that is always H1. And then after that, within the page itself, in the rich content editor in Canvas, you'll only be applying levels H2 on down, H2, H3, H4, and then paragraph. So think of it as an outline, right? Here are the main 3 things that this page talks about. Under the first one, there's maybe a couple of sub items. Under the second one, maybe there's 1, third. So think of an outline structure and then think about stepping down in order. H1 is the title. You can't, you have to change the page name in order to change the title of the page. But then H2, H3. So you can go back to H2, then H3, then H4. Then you can go back to H3, H4, H2. Right? Okay, but it's not okay to jump going down. It's okay to jump going up. Does that make sense?
Oh, yes, yes, yes. I totally, yeah. Because it was actually, I think, a part of the facilitated Canvas course that I took during the summer. So I remember these and I tried to do this, but I'll just, after this session, I just want to go back and check if there's anything I need to change. But thank you for reminding.
And what's cool here is that we have this fantastic tool called,
Oh,
Lori, go ahead.
Yeah,
This
so
will-
this is the Pope Tech tool, and you can see it's this little P. So when you're editing a page, discussion, a quiz, down at the bottom right, you've got your cancel and save buttons. There's also this Pope Tech tool. And so when you click on this, it gives you alerts of if there's any accessibility errors that need to be corrected on your page, quiz, discussion, whatever. And so it's a really quick, easy way to figure out how the organization of your pages, if you've got your descriptive links for your web pages, if you've got your alt text for your images, if you've got your headings. What was the 4th thing we talked about?
captions.
Thank you. If you've got, it'll tell you if there's a video. It doesn't necessarily tell you if there's the captioning, but it'll tell you if there's a video.
Yeah, it always gives yellow alerts and red alerts. So the yellow alerts are just like, hey, there's a video, and Pope Tech doesn't have the ability to tell if those captions are human corrected. Likewise with PDFs. So it's the yellow warning tags are just telling you like, okay, you need to check that out and you decide. The red ones are like, okay, your heading structure is out of order. You have an empty header and empty links, other strange things, and you can fix it right there in the panel.
So we had planned to do breakout rooms to look at the top 4 accessibility requirements, but maybe Merv, if you want, we can just look at you can just look at your class and ask for advice, and then I feel like you probably already have some ideas of where to look, pages, assignments, discussion, quizzes, and then you could try, actually, we could help you try using that Pope Tech tool if you want, and And Nora, I just realized I totally took over this page. You were gonna talk about it.
Okay.
So maybe I will stop sharing my screen. Should I stop recording too?
Sure.